Yes, hello everyone, Falter Ashkody Cúilín Media. Welcome back. It is round 2 preview time here on the show. The National Leagues take place once again this weekend. Round 1 is in the books. We had it last weekend across the LGFA, men's Gaelic football and hurling. And we have round 2 for all of those respective codes taking place this weekend. I'm joined by Liam White and Matthew Hurley to preview the weekend's action. Aaron Prendergast will be parachuted in at some point during the show to fill out the house as well. Boys, round 1 in the books. What are we thinking ahead of round 2? Liam, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, well, it's nice for the inter-county games to be back. Looking forward to another busy weekend of games. I'll be in Condit's Park. I was about to say tomorrow night. Today's Thursday. I'm going to be in Condit's Park on Saturday, watching Offaly taking on Kildare in football, and then I'll be in O'Connor Park Sunday watching us take on Tipperary in the hurling. So looking forward to the weekend. Looking forward to going down to a couple of games. Great that we have the games during the week as well with the Fitzgibbon and the Sigerson Cup as well. So yeah, no, we're fully in the swing of things, and looking forward to another dramatic weekend.
Matthew, Peter has led the way here in the comments, as you can see. Interesting stories there. Starting off, of course, Kilkenny goalkeeper Noel Skehan talking about getting rid of the hand pass to negate the throw ball. What do you make of that? I haven't seen too much of it myself, but I have thought, if it's so commonplace, is there a way towards embracing it into the sport? If it's so commonplace, this little throw flick ball, as long as it's not an overhand throw, should it be somewhat embraced here? Obviously, you lads are from more here hurling purist counties than myself, but what would you make of it first take?
To be fair, I haven't seen much of that story, to be honest with you, but obviously Limerick were probably synonymous for doing that. Then Cork were last year, and a lot of people are annoyed by it in many ways. At the same time, if you're getting rid of the hand pass, it's going to be very, very hard for players to get out of rucks and release the ball in many ways as well, because you're either going to take steps or you're either going to overcarry if you can't hand pass the ball. Like, you'd have to poke the ball in that situation, but in a close proximity, you won't be able to poke the ball. So you'd see a lot more freeze if that rule does come in. But I just think, look, it's easier said than done, obviously, but I just think the refs need to police that better, the hand pass. Like, if it's a throw ball, it's a throw ball. If it's a hand pass, it's a hand pass. It's as simple as that. It is a tough one to judge. I know you're against VAR in some way, shape.
Oh, mate, I'm so against it. It would ruin the sport. Do you want two great examples just to double up? So Kevin McMenamin's goal for Dublin in 2011, he took more than 4 steps when he went around Declan O'Sullivan. 1-2 around the shimmy, and then 4-5, bam. So is that a free out to Kerry? And then let's flip it the other way around. Killian Spillan's goal in the 2019 drawn final. He took more than 4 steps going around Brian Howard before slotting it into the net. Every single score would be dissected, and the game would be like, the game wouldn't even be gone. The game would be over. There'd be no scores in Gaelic football anymore. Maybe hurling would still have a few, because people still pick the ball up and just mill it over the bar from the half back line, like Diarmuid Byrne style. But the game would be forever changed for the worst. Like, even look, with rule sets as simple as football, and it still fucked the game up in football to the point where they all want rid of it. In Gaelic football, it would run riot.
But in hurling as well, it could be detrimental as well, because, as Peter was saying about the throw, you could get penalised for throwing the ball. Like, imagine how many Limerick goals would have been disallowed over the past few years for that.
But Robbie, I have one example. Robbie O'Flynn probably would have got a free in at the end of the 2024 final for the jersey pull. McInerney. So maybe VAR would be a good thing. I don't know. Aaron, VAR in Gaelic games, yes or no?
No, I don't think so, to be honest with you. I don't think I'd have it. I think the game moves too fast, too quick. And I don't think there's as much, like, I think with football, like, I feel like things are so fractional at times, do you know what I mean? Because it's such a low scoring sport as well. Like, with Gaelic games, how would you introduce it? You couldn't introduce it for every point or every goal, or, do you know what I mean? So I just don't really think it would work, to be honest.
My main thing is always like, well, where did the attack start? Did the attack start when they turned the ball over? Did the attack start when they crossed into the opposition half? Did the attack start one pass before the person who took the shot got the ball? So it would be a very, it's kind of like the whole going pro debate, like where do you draw the line? But anyway, I'm going to draw the line here on the waffle because, lads, we have a lot of games to get through, a lot. So we're going to dive straight in with these. And I'm going to start off with Division 1, the repeat of the All-Ireland Football Final of 2025. Donegal versus Kerry, Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Donegal have the home advantage for this one. It's in Ballyshannon. Both sides started off with a win to open up their 2026 league campaign. Liam, what are you expecting from this one?
I suppose we're expecting a bit of fire, to be honest with you, because, I mean, Jim McGuinness, especially after last weekend, in all of his interviews after the match over Dublin, he was fairly fired up, you know, when people questioning him and basically saying to people, if you haven't won in All-Ireland, I'm basically not listening to you. So I'm expecting a fired up Jim McGuinness. I'm expecting Kerry as well to be fired up as well after all the controversy from the Roscommon game last weekend. And I feel like there was a bit of cobwebs that they had to dust off last weekend after winning an All-Ireland last year and going out for the first round, which can happen to anybody. You know, they weren't at 100%. But yeah, look, this game being up in Donegal is a big advantage to them, first of all, although saying that Donegal went down to Kerry last year and won. So clearly it makes no difference if they're going one way or another. But yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting game. These two, I always love watching, bar the 2014 All-Ireland final, which was, I think, along with Armagh, it was the worst All-Ireland final I ever saw in my life. It was I love watching Kerry Donegal play matches. I even thought last year's All-Ireland final was actually a good game in terms of the quality that was on show. It's just, obviously, it was one-sided in the end. But yeah, I'm expecting another David Clifford masterclass because that guy just doesn't know how to have a bad game. Even in Kerry's bad games last year, he was still one of the only few that was performing, to be honest with you. I'm expecting Donegal to be solid as well. They looked very good against Dublin last weekend in terms of trying to break through the middle, taking on 2-pointers. The goal they got was very well worked. And, you know, they were hunting impacts the whole time. They were tackling with tenacity and everything like that. So, yeah, I'm expecting a good game, even in the conditions that we have, although I don't know how much Donegal is affected with the weather warnings this week or if it's affected at all. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. I could weirdly just still see Kerry winning it. I feel like they'd want a response after last weekend because even though they won the game in the end, they would not have been in any way, shape or form happy with the way that they done it, or, you know, they wouldn't have been happy scraping the win in the last minute against Roscommon. So yeah, I'm expecting a really good game, and I'm also expecting Kerry to get a response and to actually get a win this weekend over Jim McGuinness and inflict more pain on him.
Lads, do we agree with that? Kerry to shade it?
I'm actually going to go for Donegal, to be honest with you. I just think at home, the home advantage. And I think as well, like, Kerry weren't great against Roscommon last week. Do you know what I mean? Like, they obviously a lot's been made, and we don't want to go back into the, you know, the whole kind of Hootergate, as they're calling it now. But I've seen a few other ones as well. Like there was a very contentious square ball decision, and kind of a few other ones in there as well. So yeah, I fancy Donegal, to be honest. I think they're renowned for starting the league fast. I think given what happened in the summer as well, they'll want to right the wrongs. It's a long journey for Kerry to travel up to in tough conditions as well. So yeah, no, I fancy Donegal to come through. I don't think it'll be comfortable. I think there'll only be a couple of points in it, but I think Donegal will edge you.
I'm going to go with you, Aaron. I genuinely believe this is a tough away trip for Kerry. It's a long way to go. I know that there might be no weather warning, but the weather is never sunny in Donegal for a league game. It's always going to be a tough away day. And I just look at it and go, you know, Donegal look fired up. Yes, they were missing the likes of Gallen, Michael Murphy, players like that against Dublin, but they still went with a very strong hand. And I still think even though Kerry have the likes of Clifford and O'Shea and players like that, they did look laboured against them. They did look laboured against Roscommon in round one. They were very, very lucky to get out of there with the win. And that was a home game, not an away game. And I do believe that home advantage that Donegal have will make a big difference. I'm going to shade it to Donegal. I'm going to say 3-point win for the Tier Connell men. Matthew, are you going to side up with Liam or are you going to side up with the Dubs?
Well, if Ballyshannon's anything like Ballybuffet, I'd have to side up with the Dubs. To be honest, I think it is to be honest. As you said there, Séamus, anywhere in Donegal, you'd be in a weather warning anyway. Weather warning, no weather warning. So I'd say it'll be tough for the Kerry boys going up there. To be fair, like I've never been to Ballybove, but I've seen the conditions up there, and it gets pretty bad. Look at the cameras. So no, I'd say I'm gonna go for Donegal to win. And I think they weren't perfect against Dublin last week. Look, their shooting accuracy wasn't great. Dublin actually had shots that they did more shooting at him, but they were missing Michael Murphy. They were missing Oisin Gallen as well. I think if they have Michael Langan and Hugh McFadden in midfield, I think they have the capacity to do against Kerry midfield. I know Joe O'Connor's in and around the panel for Kerry right now, but I think those two guys for Donegal are very, very strong. And Shane Malone up front, I think he wants to stamp his authority on as well. Got a great goal against Dublin last weekend. Yeah, I'm going to go for Donegal to win just because of the home advantage. I think it's going to be a tough trip to go up there for Kerry. And you all are the champions, don't start the league well. So, no, I'm going to go for Donegal.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely have unearthed another gem there in Shane Malone. He looked really, really sharp against Dublin. Great goal into the Hill 16 end. And then you combine it as well with how good Finbar O'Rourke looked in that game. Like, it is very, very interesting. Kid Goodyear with a great comment said, wouldn't it be very cute of Jack not to play Clifford so as not to give Jim a chance to test defence against him? That would be very, very interesting. Peter says, interesting to see if Murphy appears. Like, if both of those things happen, then there's definitely some serious shadow boxing going on between both of them. Jimmy versus Jacko round 2. Ding, ding, ding. Patrick here says Kerry 113, Donegal 115. Peter saying 2014 final Papa's Mare with that kick out to Donaghy. King Guckian here says home advantage should be key for Donegal to get over the line. A tough place to go for Kerry. Peter saying Kerry by 5. They'll be looking to go 7 from 7 in the league. Ryan Gallagher says Donegal by 4. Mikey says Donegal by 3. There is a lot of differing opinions on how this is going to go. Patrick here says McGuinness will be ready to get back at Kerry, especially with home advantage. And Liam, what you were talking about as well, McGuinness being spiky the way that he was. I mean, if there's a chance to actually lash out at a team for what's causing him to be so spiky, it served itself up on a silver platter this weekend.
That is true, but I can also still remember the mood he was in going into the Galway game last year, and then that absolutely blew up in his face, you know. So I like, it's a weird one. This could be a one game where Jim just goes absolutely all out and Donegal just stamp their authority and show that like they're going to be able to compete with Kerry again this year and get a bit of revenge on them before the real action in the summer sort of gets underway, because they could potentially meet each other again. Or it's just going to absolutely backfire on him and Jack O'Connor is going to have his number again. And let's not make any mistake about it. Jack O'Connor will not want to lose to Donegal either. Do you know what I mean? He will absolutely not want to lose to a team that he sees as a potential threat to stopping him from winning, not even just 2 in a row, but just for this year, winning in All-Ireland in general. Do you know? So I do look, I don't think Kerry will do 7 out of 7. I think there's maybe, I feel like actually Kerry be more likely to lose to Armagh, weirdly. I don't know why. I'd like to look of Armagh against Monaghan last weekend. You know, they scored 126, wasn't it, all from play or something like that. Like, they just did something absolutely outrageous out of their 127 last weekend. So, I don't know. I just have a weird feeling Kerry will get the job done. I feel like they kind of have Donegal's number at the moment. I could look absolutely stupid come Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, but I'm sticking my neck on the line. Kerry, for me, are the best team in the country, and I don't think they'll be wanting to be losing any sort of spark or anything in this moment of time.
Well, there, even more comments. Meadman saying Donegal by 4. Tom Mahidi saying Kerry for the win. Gavin saying Donegal should win. Ryan Gallagher pointing out as well about the young talent that was pointing out with Finbar O'Rourke and Shane Malone. So do Kerry with Tomas Kennedy. I mean, I do feel for Tomas Kennedy because he had one of the best debuts you could ever have, and nobody's talking about it. Everyone's talking about the Hootergate and everything like that, but the reality is this guy is an absolute fantastic forward. And again, he does, I think it was Liam, you were saying it, Liam, I think you were saying it on our last pod, that he reminds you of like a young Tommy Walsh, like that kind of rangy build where he's fantastic under the high ball, good kicker. I do think like Kerry have unearthed a gem there at full forward. And it'd be interesting to see now when Gainey comes back in. Oh, this time it's Matthew dropping out of the call. What's going on? But
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that.
What have you done, Aaron? What have you done? Anyway, Aaron, I'm going to show you the next game. I'm going to show you because this one directly concerns us. Mayo versus Dublin, a Sunday at 1:30 in McHale Park. What a game this is going to be. Unfortunately, just like the hurling last week, we're not going to be able to watch it. I won't be able to get myself down to Mayo on Sunday, unfortunately. So it's another keeping up to date on the radio job.
Yeah. Look, and to be fair to TG Cahir, they do a lot of great work, and there's a lot of games for them to show. There's football, hurling, ladies football. Like, you don't want to be criticizing anyone for not showing this game. I get you can't show the same teams every week, but yeah, it is a little bit disappointing that a game of this magnitude isn't on anywhere. Even if GA Plus or something could pick it up, I don't know. But look, in terms of the game itself, it's going to be a very interesting game. To be fair, like Mayo looked very good the last day versus Galway, very explosive. Few kind of new players into the team as well, which looks very good. Few lads back as well, and Tommy Conroy and James Carr and a few others. Dublin showed a few positives against Donegal. Like they battled their way back into it in the second half. But I think, like, as much as I would love to see Dublin win this, I think looking at some of the newer players that are in the Dublin panel, the fact it's in Castlebar, the fact that Mayo looked very good against Galway, they were bang up for it. And I think going up against the Dubs, they're going to be bang up for this one as well. So I think realistically, I probably would back a Mayo victory here, as much as I don't want to see that. But I do think Mayo probably will come over the line here.
Yeah, I think it's teed up to be a very, very difficult second game. Now, am I correct in saying that it was the second game? So no, it was the third game a couple of years ago when we got relegated, where we played Armagh, then Kerry, then Mayo. Like, Mayo seemed to always be the next up when we're in a bad run of form. And like, we had a decent performance against Donegal. There's no question about it. And I think I was talking about it, which is on the last show, was that game against Donegal was kind of just a reminder that we're still a good team. We're still a very good team, but we're not head and shoulders above everybody like we used to be 5-10 years ago. We're not that level anymore. And that's going to take some getting used to for Dublin fans. It's like when Kilkenny had to get used to not winning All-Irelands every year, after the 2015 final All-Ireland under Brian Cody. Meadman saying GA Go should have someone down there. Dublin look decent, but Mayo, I think Mayo edge it. Peter saying Mayo looked in better form. Patrick also says Mayo by 5 finally have the firepower up front with Dara Byrne and Keane McHale. Mayo going to be putting up big scores this season. Peter saying footnote, still early days. Gavin says, had this conversation a million times, but I don't know why GA Plus only come in for the championship directly. There's arguably more games in the league and more need for coverage now. Ryan saying Mayo have a new gem in Dara Byrne. They certainly do. He looked very, very good. And again, am I correct in saying a Kitog? He's a left-footed kicker?
I think he played on the right-hand side last weekend, so I think he is a left-footed kicker, yeah.
Yeah, but they need one. I mean, if he is a left-footed kicker, he's perfect for them. Mayo for a narrow win, disgraceful. This game is not on the TV, says Tom Mahidi. And Peter says, can see Andy's philosophy starting to come through. Mikey says, Keane McHale and Dara Byrne, Mayo's 2 best finds this year. Meadman saying, what do you think about Mead? I think they're moving well, but we'll come to them in a few minutes after we finish up on Division 1 and their next game, of course. Look, this game, to be honest, I think on the coverage side of things, I just think, why not give first dibs to the people who have the broadcasting rights, and then if nobody's touching the game, I don't see the harm in letting it be streamed live on their YouTube channel or something like that. The thing is, TG Cahir do amazing stuff, and what they pull off, and this is why it's kind of a little bit frustrating, is because TG Cahir set the bar with the Super Sunday on the final day of the league. Do you remember how sick that is? And they're doing it again this year, where the games are live and everything like that.
Well, isn't it?
Yeah, for both Division 1 and 2. They've 3 games live streamed on YouTube at one time, and they have then the game live on TV, and they're bouncing from ground to ground. So we see that that's possible. And I know that it's hard to put together. It's very hard to put together. For Dublin Mayo, though, Dublin Mayo, if you manage to get someone down there with a camera, that would draw huge viewership. That's two of the most, I'd say pound for pound, that's two of the most supported counties in Ireland. And it's a huge opportunity. It kind of reminds me of, like, do you remember Limerick Cork in the hurling last year, when for a while it looked like no one was going to show it? I'm hoping that TG Carr just come in and sweep it up and put it on the player or something. I'm hoping that happens. Yeah, I'm hoping that happens. But yeah, fingers crossed. But I'll be keeping tuned on the radio. As for my prediction for it, Aaron, I'm gonna go the same with as what you said. I still think we're kind of finding our feet under Ger Brennan. Andy Moran as well. Like I said, that Mayo would beat Galway in round one, but I just expected Mayo to hit the ground running. I really thought, like, Andy Moran coming in, he knows these lads like the back of his hand. He's going to be like, we're on it from get-go. And to beat Galway away from home the way that they did, where they didn't, again, like, they didn't make it easy for themselves, but my God, they defended really, really well. And yeah, I just feel like getting Dublin down there in round two, the crowd's going to be buzzing for it. If we win this game, it's a huge win. It's a huge win, especially early in Ger Brennan's reign. But yeah, I think the most likely outcome I can see is that Mayo take it by a couple of points in a dramatic game. But I think Mayo shade it by 2 points. Liam, I'll go to you next.
I think this is either a Mayo win or a draw, because I feel like Dublin and Ger Brennan, despite the fact that there was positives from last weekend's game against Donegal, there were probably things that he wants to work on during the week that he'll want to fix. I think for one big thing example, last week the 2-pointer for Dublin just simply wasn't working. Now, that was down a lot to the Donegal defence and their blanket and, swarming any Dublin player that was in any sort of space to try and kick over a 2-pointer, and they were turning over very well. But I don't think Dublin win this weekend, but I think you can certainly get a draw, and I certainly think you can push Mayo all the way. But like you said there, look, Mayo just last weekend did so well to go down to Galway and beat them. And look, it's not the same Dublin team, like you said, it's not the same Dublin team as a couple of years ago. And Mayo do love playing against Dublin. They absolutely relish this fixture, in terms of the hype and the supporters. They all get behind the players, and they're going to get behind Andy Moran again this weekend. I really like Andy Moran as a manager as well as I did as a player, to be honest with you. I think he's going to be a very, very good manager over the next number of years. It's weird to say if he succeeds with Mayo, because you're thinking, what's success with Mayo? It is winning an All-Ireland, obviously, but where they are at the moment, are they going to win an All-Ireland? You're thinking maybe if you could win a Connacht title, get yourselves back to maybe an All-Ireland semi-final first, and then progress from there. Maybe win the league as well. Try and win the league, or at least, if you're going by some of our predictions, stay up in the league. But yeah, I could see Mayo winning this game maybe by, like 4 points, but like with the way football's gone, 4 points is absolutely nothing these days. They could get 2-pointers, and win it like that, and it makes the scoreline look a bit nasty or something like that. But yeah, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Dublin did win this. We saw them going down to Galway last year, and they were underdogs in that game. I don't even know if they're underdogs this weekend, but you saw what could happen there when there wasn't a lot of expectation on them, and they went down and won and played Galway off the park, if we're being honest. And they could do the very same thing this weekend. But I just think after the boost that Mayo got last weekend, I'm going to shade it to them, but I'm reserved as well on a draw as well.
Yeah, I think in midfield as well, they looked really, really impressive in the game against Galway. Bob Toohey looked really, really good. Jordan Flynn kept dropping in as well to help out, and I'm looking at that going, we looked at sea a little bit sometimes in midfield against Donegal, and I know that that's Donegal's midfield, but I think with Hennelly's kickouts as well, they're going to be sharp on their kickouts, and we're going to be under pressure from ours again, especially with the Mayo crowd basically being on the pitch because of how passionate they are. Like it'll be a tough venue, and I could see us again, because the new rules are so batshit that like we could be up by 5 points to go and lose, or they could be up by 5 points and we could still get out of there with the win. It's really, really hard to call, but I'd say it makes more sense that Mayo win. Matthew, what are you going for?
Probably go for Mayo win, but I still think there was more positives in the Dublin performance than maybe some people perceived it to be. On the kickouts, you were mentioning there, Séamus, that they looked at it probably looked at on the TV. They did look at but look at the stats. They won. What was it? 64% of their kickouts, Dublin, and that was more than Donegal. So,
Wow.
like, that's what I'm reading here. Yeah, 64%.
Put me in my place. Oh, my hands up there.
They won 16 out of 25 kickouts, Dublin. But it looks at where the ball was going, it looked like most of them were actually long. And I know you mentioned the other night that the forwards weren't contributing as much, but one fella that didn't score was Niall Scully, but he contributed to 4 assists. So he's that kind of player, you know. So I do think there was still positives. I think Luke Brannock, he has to start this game.
Yeah.
After his performance last week, he has to start. I think there is potential in this Dublin midfield. I don't know, is Pat O'Covey-Byrne close, Séamus, or is he?
I haven't had an update on him, but I think he should.
I think he'll be back at some point in the league, but I don't think he'll play on Sunday.
Okay, so look, if Padder does come back eventually,
I was saying Ethan Dunn as well played Sigerson, didn't he? Yesterday.
Yeah, during the week, for DCU. Yeah.
So it's unlikely he plays in this. It'll probably be Lahif and Howard at midfield, I'd say.
Yeah, and Howard's not a bad option midfield. He really isn't.
Solid
midfield. Need to put McGuinness back in there as well. Like, I think.
Yeah, McGuinness isn't the wing forward. I get it. It makes sense, but for me, he's a number 9, like alongside a big midfielder. He's like a road.
He's a player that you give the number 12 jersey to, but he's going to be playing 3-man midfield. Do you know?
Jordan Flynn.
There's a lot of players that they'd have 15 or 12 on their back, or even 5 on their back, but like, sure, they're playing midfield. Let's be honest, or they're just playing wing back. They're not playing in that position. It's like numbers these days just mean absolutely nothing. You know.
Yeah. I am nervous though, because I do think like we lose this and. You know, all of a sudden we've lost back-to-back games, and like it's a
Monaghan and Kerry coming up after that. Then.
It's a very quick, and like Monaghan like will need those points. Like it's really, really interesting. Especially we're gonna get onto it now. Roscommon against Monaghan in the Hyde, and like when we're highlighting games that immediately scream importance. I mean, this one has to be right up there in terms of like whoever loses this, because. Like, if we're being honest, Roscommon and Monaghan have been tipped by a lot of people to be in the relegation places or not. But people have usually picked one of these two to go down. They're facing each other in round 2 in the Hyde. And let's be honest, lads, I'll throw it to you first, Matthew. Roscommon looked a hell of a lot better in round 1 than Monaghan did.
That could be a bad thing, though, from a Roscommon point of view, because they exerted so much energy into that Kerry game. And Monaghan, they knew with minutes going down the clock, they knew the game was over against Armagh, so they didn't try. And obviously they didn't, because, like, why would you in that situation? Was disappointed with Monaghan last week. Even the likes of Stephen Mooney, who's one of the top scorers in the Sigurdsson Cup for Dundalk IT, he actually came off at 60 minutes while playing full forward, and he didn't score anything for Monaghan, which was a concern because he has been absolutely electric in the college competitions. Andrew Woods performed some good sparks. I think Stephen O'Hanlon, Monaghan were very reliant on him last week. I thought excellent performance, 7 points per play, absolutely superb. But they can't be as over-reliant as they were on him in this game against Roscommon. And look, it'll be interesting from Roscommon point of view. Will the Bridges lads be back? I doubt it, to be honest with you. They had a hard run in the All-Ireland, obviously going to extra time against Donegal. They probably need time to recuperate. Obviously, Ben O'Carroll and Bobby Nugent were playing during the week for UCD in the Sigurdsson as well, which adds to that. And there was a few Roscommon players involved in the Sigurdsson Cup during the week. Owen Colleran did well for University of Galway. I think the likes of Owen Ward actually was playing for DCU on Wednesday evening against UCC and performed pretty well. But obviously those lads would be pretty tired. Look at the performances from the Roscommon players last week. Dara Craig, Dermot Murta performed very well. Enda Smith is another gear to go up on. I'd fancy Roscommon to win the game, judging by last week's performances. But it'd be the most Monaghan-esque thing to turn up this weekend and beat Roscommon. I'm just going to say that.
No, that's what I mean. Is like I haven't really flinch, to be honest, in my prediction for them to stay up, because I'm like, yeah, I've seen this before. Like, literally, this Monaghan team is like, Nate Diaz in the UFC. They get the living shit out of him for the first round and then just like still somehow win in the 5th round. Like, they are just, it's never over till it's over with this Monaghan team. And I really wouldn't be surprised still if they manage to stay up, because especially towards the end of the league, I could see a lot of teams taking the foot off the gas if they've realised that they're safe. And if Monaghan have realised that they're not safe, they'll be putting the foot down on the gas. And I could see them picking up some surprise victories towards the end of the league campaign. And they're at least going to have a go with it. Have a go with it. And I'd be surprised if they go down with a whimper, to be honest. Like, I really, really would be surprised. Kikudi here saying, was at the Monaghan game, O'Hanlon was excellent, and good to have Carl Gallagher back, of course, in the AFL. A lot of young players, especially defenders. Armagh were comfortably better. Mikey says, could Monaghan have been targeting the round 2 game? Maybe they have had a heavy training block pre the Armagh game. Who knows? I strongly doubt it, though, because they had home advantage for that one, and the rivalry between Monaghan and Armagh, I think there's no way they would have wanted to lose that. Patrick says, Dublin to go down. Can't see the Brennan era going well for them. Long time since they were winning on the minor and under 20 scene. Yeah, I mean, we haven't won under 20 All Ireland in a while. I will give that. Kilcuddy says Scottstown players not back until the Dublin game at the earliest, according to Gabriel Bannigan. So just in time. Brilliant. Delighted. Yeah, sound lads. Do you not want to stay for one more week? Well, lads, time to nail your colours to the mast. I'm gonna go with Roscommon. I've seen enough in that first game against Kerry that tells me that Roscommon, like Monaghan, they might turn up on it. But I've seen in the first game that Roscommon are already on it. And I know for a fact that, especially with home advantage, I'd be surprised if they go flat. Because on top of that, they'll have that kind of boiling injustice feel. And I'd say it won't hurt now if Dowd fans the flames of that a little bit and they're just ready to rip into this game. So I'm going to go for Roscommon to win this one by 4 or 5 points. Liam, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm going the Monaghan-esque route. I am a big fan of this Monaghan team. I don't know what it is. I just like watching them play football. And look, the Armagh game wasn't ideal, but look, it was still round 1. Like we mentioned, Galway were poor against Mayo last weekend. They could go out and smash Armagh tomorrow. Armagh were unreal last weekend. They could go out and flatter to the sleeve on the game Saturday evening. Yeah, like it's. I don't know. Look, I know they don't have the Scottstown players back for this weekend, but I still think Monaghan as well after that weekend. I agree with what you said. There's no way they would have wanted to lose to Armagh, or at least if not lose to them, perform the way they did. Do you know what I mean? And I'd say they'll want to go out for retribution this weekend, and they'll be looking at a game like Roscommon and thinking, there's 2 points here. And especially as well, let's not forget, Roscommon bet Monaghan last year in Hyde Park. And I can imagine that's on the back of Gabriel Bannigan's head. Do you know what I mean? I can imagine he's thinking, lads, we gotta get a bit of revenge here after last year, do you know? And like you said there, I feel like that performance against Kerry last weekend took it all out on Roscommon. Do you know what I mean? And all the media hype over the last week and everything, it would do that to a player and it'd take it out on a lot of them. So I think it'll be close, but I'm going to edge it to Monaghan by 5 points. I think they'll make a late surge.
It kind of sounds like, do you know, in the Leinster Championship when Westmeath beat Wexford and then lost Tantrum and went down anyway. It kind of sounds like that they'd put all their eggs in that basket. So that's 1-1 on this game. Matthew, what have you gone with?
We've gone for Roscommon to win the game. I just am not convinced by Monaghan in terms of without the Scottstown players and without the leaders in the dressing room. I said this on the predictions video as well. And like the likes of Stephen Mooney needs to step up in this game, considering his performances for Sigerson Cup level. They can't be overlined to Stephen O'Hanlon. I just feel like Roscommon will get over the line this one. They'll be desperate to, especially after the performance against Kerry last week.
Well, that's that from Gavin there. His potential history on the line if Monaghan do get over the line. Gavin saying Monaghan haven't bet Roscommon in the Hyde since 2006. If there's one person that no, it is Gavin, of course, a Roscommon super fan. So that's 2-1 for the Rossies. Aaron, are we going to make it a 3-on-1 on Liam again? Or
Yeah, I'm afraid so. It's not intentional now. I will say that.
Be a long
but yeah,
evening.
yeah, no, I think Roscommon as well, to be honest with you. Like, I think I agree with Matthew. Like, I think Monaghan did look very flat last week. I know, like, there is that talk of, well, maybe they were saving themselves for this game. But at the same time, like, you still need to show something. And they didn't, to be honest with you. Like, they were beat very, very comfortably. And arguably, like, it wouldn't have been maybe a bad time to play Armagh, given the players that they were missing as well. So yeah, no, I think Roscommon will get over the line, and I think Mark O'Dowd will have the pictures up on the wall of everyone, of the officials against them and the world's against them and everything else, and I think they'll come back bang up for it. And I think as well, realistically, if Roscommon are going to stay up, like, this is a game they have to win. Do you know what I mean? I think if they lose this game, it's not over, but it's a long way back.
Yeah, I would agree. And talking about whether it's a good time to play Armagh or not, we'll be able to ask Galway this question in a week's time. Galway going away to the Athletic Grounds to face the 2024 All-Ireland champions, a repeat of the 2024 All-Ireland final, this one taking place on Saturday at 5 p.m. Armagh made a great start to the league campaign. Whether Monaghan were off the pace or not, Armagh were absolutely on it. It is very, very difficult to see how Galway can go away and beat Armagh, especially after last week's kind of patchy performance, I think it's fair to say, Matthew.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Armagh I know we'll talk about Galway in this game, but Armagh was absolutely superb. Like, they were the top scoring team across the whole weekend last weekend. They were top scoring team from play, 125 from play out of 127. That's incredible in its own right. Obviously, as well, they had 28 scores, the most scores across the weekend as well. But funnily enough, they had the least 2-pointers jointly with Leitrim, and Laois with 0. They had 0 2-pointers, and they still scored 127, which is kind of a weird statistic in so many ways. But it just shows that Armagh were so dominant in that game, and they could just beat Monaghan at Rees with certain plays and things like that. Like, the performances of the likes of Oisin Connaughty. Like, Oisin Connaughty has probably been, I've heard some calls saying he's one of the best players in Ireland. And to be honest, looking at his performances, like, you can't just say David Clifford, okay, he's God or whatever, and Conor O'Callaghan performed very, very well for their counties and things like that, and they're much better than Connaughty. You have to say, I do think Armagh fans make a very good point, because Connaughty is probably the most consistent player that I've seen over the last 2 or 3 seasons. I think he's been very, very good wherever he plays, wing forward or centre forward, or was corner forward, it seemed like the last day. He was absolutely superb, and he seems to be another player that's really running his form really, really well this season. Oisin O'Neill performed brilliantly. Keane McConville, we talked about him in the predictions video as well, and a guy that really needs to step up. And yeah, he got 3 points the last day. Really good performance. Connor Turbot, Andrew Merlin in midfield was very, very interesting call. Like, Callum O'Neill has to prove a point, especially with Rian O'Neill not around for the league. So look, Armagh are performing very well at this present moment in time. They seem to be cranking up the gears right now, and I think that'll be too much for Galway. Look, Galway, I'm not convinced by them. And you look at Johnny Heaney leaving the panel, Tom O'Connell, Matthew Thompson going on Erasmus as well. That's not good for panel morale, I don't think. And I know I didn't say this in the original prediction video, but I can 100% see Galway get relegated by the way they're playing at this present moment in time, the players they have lost, the form at this present moment in time as well, the quarterfinal performance, the way they went out to Meath last year. I just feel like it's a bit doom and gloom, if that makes sense from a Galway point of view this year. I just feel like they're in a bit of bother, and especially at the Athletic Grounds, I can't see anything else but an Armagh win this weekend.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? They kind of remind me a little bit of Derry, in a sense that they kind of feel like their time might have passed them by to win an All-Ireland, maybe. And once a team kind of has that set in that maybe you've missed your shot, you've missed your moment, it can fall apart quite quickly. And yeah, I'm hoping that they can get a big win to turn it around. And look, the reality is that game against Mayo was back and forth, but Mayo were absolutely the better team. And there's no question about it. Gavin says Galway lose to Roscommon, win the 5th round between them and Salt Hill could be massive. Tom says Connaughty is a back-to-back all-star. And Peter says, yeah, I'm tipping Galway and Monaghan to drop. Mikey says Galway fell 11 points behind to Mayo at one stage. If that happens here, I don't see Armagh letting them back into the game like Mayo did. Armagh by 5. Very, very interesting. Ryan says, agree with Matthew. Tom says Armagh by 5 or 6. I still think that Armagh are the only team in the country that might stop the kingdom. And Peter says Armagh by 7. So it's Armagh across the board so far. I am agreeing. I think how very brave of me. But I am going to go with Armagh to win this game. I think home advantage and how strong they started. But the reality is all it takes is one win to turn the ship around when you have the players that Galway have. All it takes is one win to get people to start believing in the side again. And this is a very, very good opportunity to do that. If they take a beating here, which could happen, because I think when I'm predicting this, there is a world where Armagh win this game by 9 or 10. Like I do genuinely believe they have the power up front to really go for this. So I'm going to go for them to win by about 5 or 6, but it's a dangerous game this for Galway, and they need a big win to turn the ship around, because right now I think it's heading in the wrong direction. Aaron, would you agree?
Yeah, I think so as well. I think, given how good Armagh looked, like they were flawless in many ways in the opening game. Like they were absolutely brilliant, I felt, and outstanding in more ways than one. So, yeah, I think it will be very difficult for Galway. Like what I would say about Galway is that I still do think that they, although, yeah, fair enough, they've started the league quite poorly. Like they are missing a few players playing Sigerson. I think you have Cúilín Cúilín to come back into the side. Young Mulhern looked like a good player as well. When Shane Walsh kicks into gear, which will happen at some point, he's going to be absolutely huge in terms of 2-pointers. Maybe Paul Conroy will come back in, Damien Comer. So, I still think Galway will be okay in terms of relegation, but I would be looking at the bigger picture with Galway in terms of an All-Ireland, and they do look probably a bit off that, and especially for this game, I think you'd have to back Armagh to come through.
Yeah. Liam, are you going for a clean sweep for Armagh?
Yeah, it's not 3-1 this. It's 4. No, I don't want to keep hating on Galway because I don't have anything against Galway, but I just could see Armagh winning this game by 10 points in the Athletic Grounds. And even over the last 2 years, Armagh have had Galway's number a lot. I know Galway won the first league game against them last year, but let's be honest, Armagh were still hungover from winning that All-Ireland. You saw it in the Championship. I don't feel like Armagh were at their best the day Galway bet them in the Championship last year. I think if Armagh really wanted to, they'd have knocked Galway out that day. Wasn't it in Breffni Park that day? They would have absolutely knocked them out. So I just think they have Galway's number at the moment. I think Galway at the moment are just not as strong as they were 2 years ago, to be honest with you. And yeah, like you mentioned there, with the form that Armagh are in at the moment, especially, I'm absolutely delighted because he's in my fantasy team. Andrew Murnan is in some unbelievable form at the moment. Conor Turbitt got 6 points last weekend. These types of players, Oisin O'Neill, who I rate very highly as well, Jarnad Oak Burns, I think these players are going to relish in a game like this weekend. I could see Armagh building up a big lead at halftime, maybe taking the, I suppose, easing off a small bit in the second half, but I can't see Galway coming back into the game like they did against Mayo. I think Armagh will be a bit more ruthless, and I actually think this could be a bad weekend for Galway. So of course now watch them go and win by 5 points.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a few comments here to go through. Aaron Gubbins here, a good County Clare man, I'm guessing, says, well, lads, great to listen to you, even though I don't know what's your problem with Clare in both codes. To be fair, I don't blame Matthew for hating Clare. All of Cork. But he also says, very harsh in all of your table predictions for Clare when they've been so close for the last 2 or 3 years. Got robbed too in football now, Division 3. Yeah, to be fair, Clare did had that bizarre incident with Westmeath last year where nobody knew was it a goal for Clare or a goal for Westmeath, but it was given as a free out, and it absolutely did, damage Clare's opportunity to go up. Everyone thought it was a square ball, but it was actually a free out. Jason was telling me, for a push in the back on a defender, or there was something nuts not
Westmeath need.
No. So maybe it was 2 years ago then. 2 years ago.
Yeah,
2 years ago. Apologies. 2 years ago. Sorry. But yeah, no, that year I remember feeling particularly sorry for Clare that year. Yeah, look, Division 3, it's genuinely, this is speaking from my perspective, I'm sure you lads can agree with it. Like, it's just Division 3 is actually really, really hard to call. There's a lot of teams there that are very, very tough to predict where they're going to finish. Sligo seem to be heading in the right direction in terms of what they've done on the club scene, with Kildare obviously winning Connacht last year, the under-20 All-Irelands, the under-20 Connacht success and everything like that. It's all seemed to be pointing in the right direction. And I don't think last year was a fair reflection of where Sligo are at in terms of where they're capable of being. And you look at some of the losses that Clare have had, Keelan Sexton not playing, some of the big retirements over the last few years that Clare have suffered. And I just felt like usually there's a little bit of I can compare them to, like, when Longford were so close to getting out of Division 3 a few years in a row in the 2010s, so close to getting out. And then they just had one year where they just kind of finished mid-table. I feel like that could be what Clare had this year, and I could be completely wrong. Watch this be the year now that they go up. But the hurling, there may or may not be in a Dublin bias from my perspective for putting them above. But we did well, I thought, in that game. And to be fair to Aaron, he says here, as a Clare man, I was very impressed with Dublin last weekend. Hope they kick on. Now we'll knock Limerick out of the championship again this year now, hopefully. Question for you, Matthew. He says, who is winning the Harty Cup?
Sorry, I'm really, really sorry, Aaron. I know.
No, not much.
I'm really sorry. I know Flannans have done well to get to the final, but has to be Nina CBS. Sorry. We'll
move on. Aaron says Brian Mack is some player, some hurler too, played with Kilmaley, asked to play for Clare hurling this year and turned it down. He says we played hurling together. We're going to move on. So that's Division 1 wrapped up. We've predicted Armagh to win, and then Liam has gone against the grain with all the other predictions. But we'll see how we shape up. We're going to move on, and we're going to move a little bit quicker because we're at 47 minutes and we've only just finished Division 1. This is just like the in-studio one. Just for anybody who's confused, basically we booked 2 hours and we decided to fit in, I think we are going to go 40 minutes, and we spent, I think, was it 48 minutes on Division 1 alone. So we have a habit of going a little bit too far with these things. But before I move on though, Liam, do you want to showcase our new edition? Let people know what you're wearing.
Cúilín Media jumper.
Absolutely. Look at that. Big shout out to Capture Athletics.
You can get yours in store for 60 grand.
No, you can't. I wish you one day. But they're on the way, hopefully, for the rest of the boys. Big shout out to Capture Athletics for providing them for us. And now we're going to move on to Division 2. And basically, we're going to switch it up a little bit for Division 2. I'm going to put one ears in the hot seat, and I'm going to just ask you to call it. And we're going to disagree with the ones that we disagree with. So who wants to be in the hot seat for Division 2?
Go on.
Liam. Okay. First one up. And I'm just going to give them these to you quick fire. And then myself, Matthew, and Aaron are just going to be like, take pot shots at why we disagree with your predictions. So first one up, obviously, is Derry against Tyrone, Saturday, 6 p.m. in Celtic Park. The next one up is Kildare against Offaly, Saturday, 6 p.m. in St. Colins Park. Louth against Cork is on Sunday at 1:30 in Drogheda. And Cavan host Meath at 3:45 in Breffni Park. So starting off with Derry Tyrone, what are you going with?
I'm going with a Tyrone win. I know they drew with Kildare last weekend and they'll be very frustrated with that, but that's a big reason why I think they will go up there and win. It is an Ulster derby at the end of the day, and I can very much imagine that Malachy O'Rourke will not want to have another, I suppose, average enough performance, because they weren't great against Kildare, if we're being honest. Like, they had a bit of a resurgence at the start of the second half, and they probably could have won the game in the end if they just taken one or two of their chances towards before the hooter went. But I feel like they'll want to respond this weekend. They are the best side in Division 2, if we're being honest, if you're judged by results last year, etc. And I feel like they'll want to really stamp their authority this weekend. Well, what better way than going to your Ulster rivals and winning? And yeah, look, Derry, they didn't do bad against Meath last weekend, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that Tyrone will go up and they'll want to put out a statement. So I'm going to go Tyrone by 5 points.
I just realised that Gavin is on some smoke. He said Cavan, Louth, Derry, and Kildare. So he's picked Dublin to lose to Mayo. So that's me and Aaron taken care of. He's picked Offaly to lose to Kildare, and he's picked Cork to lose to Louth. And Gavin, we said the Roscommon will win. We said Roscommon will win.
I did.
I know you didn't, Liam, actually. Yeah. So yeah, Kildare are going to beat Offaly. So yeah, but the next one up is Kildare against Offaly. What are you going with this one?
I feel like I'm probably talking with my heart more than with my head here, but I'm going to be optimistic. My heart says Offaly's going to win. My head, see, we've so many injuries at the moment. And last weekend, look, I was at the hurling last weekend, so I can't fully judge on how the whole 70 minutes went. But judging by what I saw on the highlights on TG Cahir, Louth were getting a lot of their scores a lot easier than say we were. 2-pointers were kind of keeping us in the game. We've a lot of injuries at the moment. That doesn't help us. Cathal Flynn's out. John Furlong at centre back is a big miss. Paddy Dunnigan, no, even though look, Shane or Chip O'Toole in goals is a very good goalkeeper, and I have huge faith in him. Not having Paddy Dunnigan is a massive miss for us. Even if we had to chuck him out midfield, because he plays midfield for his club Shamrocks, and we had to put Chip O'Toole in goals, we don't have him. Do you know what I mean? We have a lot of injuries at the moment. That doesn't help. But I do feel like, look, Mickey Hart and Declan Kelly, they were happy with a good few aspects last weekend. And look, Kildare are coming into this game off the back of putting in so much against Tyrone and getting a big draw. But as we've seen with Kildare before, last year, they started Division 3 like a house on fire. And then they slumped. They lost to Kildare, or they lost to Clare, and they lost to Offaly. Do you know what I mean? They are just that county who they could beat Dublin, and then they'll go out and lose to, I don't know, Longford. They're just that weird county that can just do that, So, do you know what? I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go with a draw. I have faith our lads can put up a good performance. We did beat them twice last year. They did beat us in probably the most important game, to be fair. But I'm going to have faith. I think it's going to be either a draw or, unfortunately, I think Kildare might just edge it by maybe 3-4 points. But I'm going to stick with a draw.
Did you see the comments? Ryan Gallagher said Offaly beat Kildare draw. Peter said, can't handle
Jesus Christ, I didn't even see that.
Like, I mean, literally 1 minute before you said that. I think, Matthew, that might be why you're smirking. Aaron has a great...
No, I'm not smirking. Mikey's comment.
Oh, late 2-pointer to win it for Kildare. Yeah, fair. Great video idea here from Aaron Gubbins. He said, would you ever do a video on the top 6 or 8 Liam McCarthy teams? And you can only pick like 2 players from each county. Would be interesting to see who you pick from 15 year. But that's a good video idea. Yeah, very good idea. I'd be interested in doing like not even keeping it to Liam McCarthy, just doing 1 player per team, and then you've got players like Owen Sands from County Down. You got players like Rory O'Meenon from County Derry, and you have to be very clever with who you pick, and you have to find the diamonds and everything like that. Gavin says, apologies, it wasn't intentional. I think Cork can win on paper, but why on earth doesn't Cleary start both Sherlock and Hurley? He's just an Everton manager or something moving forward.
That's a great analogy.
Great comment. The next one up is Louth against Cork, Liam.
Matthew, I'm very sorry. I'm going with a Louth win. I'm sorry. Look, I think this is a game that...
I'm only messing. I did that for comedic timing.
So look, Cork are absolutely capable of winning this game, but I just feel like after last weekend's near scare against Cavan, Cork are a team that generally, they don't normally start the leagues too well. If this was later on in the league campaign, I probably would be saying Cork win. But with this game being in Louth as well, or being away from home for Cork, I just think, look, Louth last weekend weren't exactly magnificent against us, but they knew how to get the job done. They were very much in control in the second half. Craig Lennons, they've Conor Grimes in there, they've Sam Mulroy, I mean, is just one of the best footballers in the country. I'm going to shade it to Louth by 4 points. Sorry, Matthew.
We had a hardcore Louth fan in here as well who pointed out last week on our weekend review show that Sam Mulroy only scored a goal point.
1-1, yeah.
Big tally last week. So that's a very positive sign.
But I will say, I was getting updates from a friend of mine who was at the football, and he just said he was the orchestra of everything. Like, even though he only scored 1-1, he was conducting everything, and he was at the center of everything. So, I wouldn't judge him off just scoring 1-1. And you say he only scored 1-1. They won the game by 5 points. He doesn't score that. It's a 1-point game. It's a lot. So, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with Loud. So, Matthew, I'm sorry again.
And the final one, Cavan against Meath, Breffni Park, 3:45 on Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going for Meath. I was very impressed with them against Derry. They have a lot of really good footballers at the moment. They're playing really nice football. Now, in fairness to Cavan, they put up, God's sake,
this guy made 4 draws.
Every game's a draw. But to be fair, it is Division 2. It's a weird division. Like every game this weekend.
Such a hard division to call.
There's a reason why we got hate for Division 2 predictions. Like it's so hard.
There's a reason why Division 2 has easily the most amount of views and engagement and comments and everything. Far more than any other division, because it's the most debated division. Yeah. Easy, every year.
It's like the championship in England. You actually can't predict who's going to do well and who's going to go down. Do you know what I mean? So, no, I just think Jordan Morris, Connor Duke, Owen Frayne, I think. Jesus. But yeah, I just think with those players at the helm, you have Sean Rafferty there as well. Jack Flynn, who was unbelievable against Derry last weekend. I'm going to give it to Meath to win by about 6 points. I thought Cavan did well against Cork last weekend, and they could nearly have won the game. But again, I feel like that probably took a lot out of them to try and get a game, win a game down there that they probably were targeting. But I just think Meath are a good bit ahead of Cavan at the moment. So yeah, I'm going to stick with them.
So you're going Tyrone, draw. Did you say Tyrone, Loud,
and Meath? Yeah.
I'm going Tyrone, Kildare.
Fair enough.
Loud. And I'm going to go with Meath as well to beat Cavan. Aaron, your quick picks?
Yeah, I agree. Same 4 picks as you. No, I think you both put it really well, so nothing else to add.
Matthew?
Tyrone. I'll go with draw. I'm with Liam. I'm with Liam for Hofley Kildare, even though Kildare performed very well last weekend. But I'm going to go for a draw. I believe in the faithful county, even though I don't believe my own. But look, for Cork Loud, I'm going to say this: the venue change could be the big thing. The game's on in Drogheda instead of RD. RD is not a good pitch. Drogheda is carpet. It looks like carpet anyway. I think that could suit Cork. I think Cork will win the game. And I think there's more that this Cork team can offer than last week. It was a bad performance last week, but as Mikey said in the comments there, it could galvanise them. And I think John Cleary would have targeted this game and target the Offaly game next week. A good start to the league. And I think Cork will get over the line by a point. And Cavan Meath, I actually think it'll be a draw. Meath's record in Breffni Park is not good. Going to Breffni. I know Meath have performed well in the last 2 seasons or whatever, but Cavan performed well last weekend. If Paddy Lynch starts, I think they'll cause a lot of problems for Meath, having looked at them last weekend. I'm going to go for a draw because I've seen on plenty podcasts in the off-season that Meath's record, I'm not exactly sure of the Vickers now, but their record in Cavan is terrible. And it's a derby too. It's kind of an unusual derby in the sense that it's 2 different provinces. But
Jordan Morris.
Jordan Morris, yeah.
Yeah. Cavan, Meath haven't won in Cavan since the 1960s. Like that can't be true, is it?
I think it could be actually. Yeah.
Jesus, that's mental if it's true. Well, they're in the habit under Robbie Brennan of bridging long gaps. I mean, not winning Leinster, but they did beat us, to be fair. But they're on the right track. There's no question about it. They're on the right track, and I'm going to go with them to get over the line. We're going to rattle off as well our quick lists for Division 3 and 4 because looking at the clock there, we still have hurling and LGFA to get through. So let's get the speed up on this thing. So Division 3 is round 2. I'll take the lead this time, Liam. I put you in the line of fire last time, so I'll put myself in the line of fire this time. So Division 3's round 2 sees Limerick host Down Saturday 2 p.m. in Mick Neville Park. Wexford hosts Laois at 6 p.m. on Saturday in Wexford Park. Clare hosts Westmeath on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Cusack Park. And Sligo hosts Fermanagh at 2 p.m. on Sunday in Markievicz Park. Very, very interesting games here to call. I'm going to go with Down to beat Limerick, Wexford to beat Laois, a draw between Clare and Westmeath, and Sligo to beat Fermanagh. Any disagreements? Anyone want to take any shots at my predictions there?
I think
just one. Westmeath and Clare. I think Westmeath.
yeah, I same.
I'd go for Clare, to be honest with you. I'd go for Clare to win that game.
We've got the full spectrum here. Liam, which one wins? You have to cast and vote.
Oh, Westmeath wins for me. 100%.
Okay. Is that just a Midlands thing or?
No, I'm very impressed. Absolutely not a Midlands thing. I don't want Westmeath winning. No, I'm very impressed with Mark McHugh. And I also think winning that game last weekend against Sligo, I think could weirdly do so much for Westmeath, considering last year the amount of games they didn't win when they probably should have. This year, they've won a game against Sligo where in the final few minutes, they were down and out by a point and they came back and won it. I think that could do so much for them in terms of confidence. I think Mark McHugh is going to be an excellent Westmeath manager. And yeah, if to go down to Clare and pick up a big away win, I think is very much on his agenda. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with Westmeath to win by, I'd say maybe 3 points.
I'll just go back to that game 2 years ago, though, where Clare had them. I think, and that was the year, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the year after Colm Collins had retired and a lot of players had left. Do you remember that was the year where there was a mass exodus of players? Owen Cleary wasn't with the panel that year. Jamie Malone wasn't with the panel that year. And they still really, really pushed Westmeath all the way. And that was a Westmeath team that had John Heslin still, had Ronan O'Toole playing. Desi Dolan was in charge. It was probably just a little bit of a better Westmeath side. I do think that this Westmeath team is heading in the right direction, but I probably would have shaded that Westmeath team is slightly better, given as well that they did end up going on to win Division 3 that year against Down in the final. Aaron says Clare to win by 3. Ryan Gallagher says Sligo to win by 2. What?
I said the Aarons know best.
Yeah. Ryan says Down, Wexford, Westmeath and Sligo. And Ryan also says Clare should have went up that year. So Aaron's gone for Clare. I've gone for a draw. Matthew and Liam have tipped it in Westmeath's favour. But apart from that, I think in terms of the other games, I think it's fairly obvious. One that maybe we could get wrong. I do think I don't see Down not beating Limerick, and I don't see Sligo not beating Fermanagh. Wexford and Laois. Are we all confident in Wexford winning that one, or is that because that strikes me as a game that Laois tend to win games like that to just about stay up in Division 3?
I think so, yeah. I think after turning it around, and getting a big win versus Fermanagh, I'd say the confidence is going through the roof with Wexford right now. So yeah, no, I could definitely see them beating Laois. It's an interesting game because most of us would have had Wexford and Laois to get relegated. But a win for Wexford, 4 points on the board, you'd probably say they're more than close enough to stay up, if not even be pushing on the doors for promotion. So, I think Wexford will come through that.
Okay. Any last points as before we move on to Division 4? Okay. Right, Aaron, I'm going to put you on the spot for this now, Division 4. So starting off, we have Carlow against Wicklow on Saturday at 6 p.m. in Cullen Park. Then we have Leitrim against Waterford on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Park Sean McDermott. Longford hosts London on Sunday at 1 p.m. in Pearse Park, and Tipperary host Antrim on Sunday at 2 p.m. in Semple Stadium. So real quick, what is your picks for those 4 games?
Yeah, so in terms of Carlow Wicklow, I'll go with Wicklow to narrowly come through. I do think that'll be the closest game in the weekend, though, and I think it'll be the most interesting Division 4 game. Carlow, to be fair, they definitely are building something under Joe Murphy. They were last season, considering where he took Carlow over from, getting the wins in the Tailteann Cup as well. So definitely keep an eye on Carlow. I think they could be a lot closer to promotion than people think, but I'm going to go with Wicklow to narrowly come through it. I think London will beat Longford by 6. I think Leitrim will comfortably beat Waterford, and I think Tipperary Antrim will be a draw.
Okay, I'm going to go with Carlow to actually beat Wicklow. I do think home advantage. I think I'm going to shade it to them. I think Leitrim will beat Waterford. I think Longford will beat London, and I think Antrim will beat Tip. Boys, what are you saying?
I would say I'd agree. I think London will beat Longford football, as one of the comments said, SOS. Longford football, they need a big result, but I don't think they're getting it this weekend. I think Wicklow will beat Carlow. I think Leitrim will beat Waterford. And I actually think Tip will beat Antrim. Tip football is on the up again. And one of their schools, Clonmel High School, is actually in the Curdy Vree final against Tralee CBS in the next few weeks. And I think Tip football could be on the way back up. And with the players that they have at their disposal, a lot of the UL boys as well, they reached the Sigerson semi-finals and home advantage. I do think Tip will beat Antrim.
I think the toughest game to call out that clearly is Carlow Wicklow, in my opinion. That's the toughest one to call. I'm surprised at how many people are going. I know you made the point well. I still am surprised. It's an away league game for London. If they go away and beat Longford, it's like...
Yeah, but just on that as well, like Longford haven't been playing football. Like they didn't play last week because the game was suspended, obviously, with the weather. They had a game in the O'Byrne Cup that was abandoned as well. Like I think they played one Shield game. So it's been
plenty of time to get ready for this game. Then, if they're not ready for this game,
yeah, but they're not sharp.
Yeah.
I don't know. London drew a Tipperary last week as well, wasn't it? It was a very good game, 21 points each. So they've got their eye in. Just wonder how well do they travel. That's the one thing. Cavan coming in. What is the team of draws here this week? 4 draws. What's going on? But anyway, that is football, lads. Very, very quick. Just in one word, what would you predict would be like a shock of the weekend? Which one is it? London to beat Longford away?
Galway to beat Armagh.
Okay. I don't say. For football, it's really tough. I think, to be honest, it shouldn't. But I think if Cavan beat Meath, I think it will surprise people because of how high Meath are rated now after getting to the semi-final and everything like that. But anyway, we have comments coming in about that. Dublin to beat Mayo, says Peter. I love that one. Ryan says Antrim are going downhill. Tip by 5. So he's picked Tip to win relatively comfortably there away with Antrim, coming to their backyard. We're going to switch over though to the hurling next. And Matthew, I'm going to throw this first one to you. Division A's, 1A's, round 2, Galway against Cork, Saturday, 7 p.m. in Pearse Stadium. Cork started their league campaign off like a house on fire, battering Waterford, but you did have home advantage. Now you're on the road. How are you looking forward to this game?
You might be surprised to hear my prediction on this. I actually back Galway to win this.
Okay.
Yeah, I just feel like with Cork, it was a bit too easy last week against Waterford. Way too easy. Just wording that. And look, it was at home, as you mentioned there. And as well as that, I watched that Galway Tip game. I was very impressed with Galway's youngsters, especially the likes of Killian Trayers in defence, Darren Erie at wing forward. I think Jason Rabbit was absolutely superb at full forward. He contributed to 1-4 in scoring. I thought he was superb, in fairness. And you look at Aaron Nyland, I think he has another few gears to go up on as well. I would think Cathal Mannion will start this game as well. And obviously as well, there's a Salt Hill factor in a weather warning. Apparently there's a weather warning this weekend as well. And Salt Hill is not the nicest ground to go to, really.
My prediction, actually, can I just jump in? My prediction, no way this game's going ahead. Just going to say it now. That's my prediction. No way this game's going ahead.
So Matthew, if you're on the road at 2:00 on Saturday, just turn around.
Oh, God.
Thank God I'm not going up to Salt Hill. I'm going to Drogheda instead. But look, that's another story.
That's much better now. Anyway, that's besides the
other reasons. But yeah, look, I was impressed with Galway last week and just feel like with Cork, I know William Buckley performed well last weekend, but it's a challenge for him to back up the performance from last week. I do think Bain will stick with the tried and tested, and I think he will stick with Declan Dalton at full forward. He performed well last week, so if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think Darragh Fitzgibbon will probably start as well. Even in the defensive line, it's going to be very interesting to see. Owen Downey played midweek in the Fitzgibbon Cup for UCC, Ben Cunningham as well. What I was concerned about from a Cork point of view was free taking. I know Alan Connolly hit a few frees, but Cork only hit, I think it was 2 frees over the bar and 1 penalty. That wasn't really great. And Obviously, I think Mick Linehan from Clubber, who's a car commentator down here, actually mentioned a very good point. And it's probably easier said than done that you need a good free taker. Like Hoggy was an excellent free taker, and now there's the challenge in trying to replace him. Ben Cunningham's coming through the youth ranks. Obviously, he's a very good player, but he's been playing Fitzgibbon over the last few weeks. And Connolly was on the freeze, didn't do well enough on him. I was actually surprised Dar Fitzgibbon didn't take a few last week. I'd imagine he'll take a few this Saturday. But look, for Cork, it's just about trying to find their first starting 15 and trying to get minutes into the legs for the lads. I think Galway would want to win more than Cork in many ways because of that loss against Tipperary last week, while performing very well last weekend. And I think the want will be there for Galway to win this game.
Any disagreements, lads? We've plenty of disagreements in the comments. Peter is saying Cork by 10. Ryan is saying Cork by 6. And Porter here saying Galway have good young hurler. Rabbit is impressive at full forward. Mikey here saying Teresa Mannion will stop Matthew from getting to Salt Hill. I'm going to go with Cork. I'm going to shade it to the Rebels. I do believe that their form is just too strong. And I think Galway did look sharp against Tip, no question about it. And even Liam Cahill himself said in an interview with Colin Parkinson after the game that he said to Micheál Donoghue that he can see that they're heading in the right direction. But I still think Cork are further ahead down the track than them. And I think even in this league campaign, I think Ben O'Connor is the type that any game is a chance to make a statement. And I do believe Cork are going to win this game. Nowhere near as easy as the Waterford game, by the way. But I still think Cork are going to win. What are you lads thinking?
Cork. Yeah, I think he's right. I think you're right, Match. I think Galway will put up a good performance this weekend. They'll want it. It's the first game at home this year. And I can even remember last year when they lost at home to Tip very badly. And then they went out against Clare and they basically destroyed them that night in Pearse Stadium to put out a statement. I could see them doing a sort of similar thing here, but I think this Cork team is ahead of that Clare team last year. And look, I know what you're saying, that it was a weakened Waterford side or Cork had it easy, but Cork were still dominant and Cork still looked a far sharper team and a lot better team. And I do like Ben O'Connor. I think he's going to do well with Cork over this season and over the next couple of years that he's given. And yeah, I could see Galway maybe leading at half time in this game, but it also depends on, really, like you said, there's Salt Hill. You need the wind. The wind is going to play a factor if we're going to be honest about it. If Cork get the wind in the second half, I could see them pulling away and maybe winning by kind of similar to like what Dublin did 2 years ago in the Leinster Championship, pulling away in the second half and winning by 3-4 points. But I think Galway will come out of this weekend still feeling positive about themselves, putting up a good challenge against the two All-Ireland finalists over the last 2 weekends.
Aaron, any disagreements?
Yeah, no, I think Cork will come through, to be honest with you. I just think they looked far too strong, like physically as well. Like they were miles ahead of Waterford. And I know, like, look, I do agree. I think Galway showed a lot of impressive signs last week, especially with some of the new players coming in. But still think Cork will be too strong. And look, Ben O'Connor said it himself, even in the post-match interview with E.G. Cahir, like he even said they're going for everything. Do you know what I mean? They want to win everything and they'll be going full throttle for everything as well. And they have the players to rotate, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think it might be, look, I think Galway have shown they might be moving in the right direction, but still think this game is a step too far. So I think Cork probably by 6 or 7.
Okay. Yeah. That seems to be the general consensus in the group chat, but not say in the live chat. But I do believe that Galway will put up a much better fight than Waterford did last week in round 1. Liam, I'm going to throw this one to you for obvious reasons. Offaly against Tipperary Sunday at 2 p.m. in O'Connor Park. The All-Ireland champions coming to your hometown. What are you expecting?
Can we move on? I don't. No. Look, it's not like the football where my heart thinks, oh, Offaly will win this. We won't win this game. I'm being frank and honest about it, and the Offaly lads probably don't like me anymore, but we're not. I don't think we will win this game. It's even with a full squad, we'd be asking a lot of ourselves to win this game, but we don't have a full squad. We have a lot of injuries at the moment. We've Charlie Mitchell is out, James Mahon is out, Killian Sampson is out. Donald Shirley went off last weekend against Kilkenny. He didn't even play Fitzgibbon last night. And like a lot of players, we also have a lot of players that are playing Fitzgibbon, and for us at the moment, week on week, like Dan Burke and Adam Screeney are playing Sunday, Wednesday, and it's taken a lot out of them, in my opinion. Now, saying that Dan Burke supposedly did well last night for Galway, I was down at UL last night in the game against UCC, and Adam Screeney did very well, to be fair to him, got 2 good points. But I just feel this will be a step too far for us, to be honest with you. Like, even Darren McCarthy last night looked really, really... To be fair, it's actually a shame that Screeney and McCarthy won't play on the same team ever again after college, because their link-up is absolutely unbelievable. I actually felt sorry at times. I feel sorry for any defense that has to come up against them too, because they link off so well together. And like, McCarthy is obviously power and pace, Screeney is just all skill and flair, but they both are very accurate as well. But yeah, look, Tip are just way too strong. Let's be honest about it. They'll have Jake Morris is in the form of his life at the moment, and he terrifies me. And I like him a lot as a player, but he's terrifying me the way he's moving, to be honest with you. Darren McCarthy, like I said there, moving really, really well. Brian O'Mara last weekend said it, that winning the league last year did no harm for Cork, so why shouldn't we go and do the same? Richelli and Nets as well. I just have a feeling it could be... Look, I think we'll put in a good performance for our standards. I don't think we'll get as close as we did against Kilkenny last weekend. I think Tipperary will win this game comfortably enough, but I think we can put in a decent performance. But look, we do have a lot of injuries at the moment, but even if we had everyone available, it would still be a big ask. So
yeah, I do think, look, it's a free hit though for Offaly. I do think Tipperary will win, but it's a free hit. Like, you've got nothing to lose in this game, and to be fair, you've got nothing to lose in this whole Division 1A campaign. You can just go out there and just have a lash at all the top teams in the country. You got a very, very young squad. Most of those young lads as well are out injured, as you said. So it's a perfect opportunity to build a squad depth. And if you get relegated, Clare and Dublin are in Division 1B this year. Wexford as well are in Division 1B. Like, a lot of people are talking about Clare and Dublin in really, really high esteem. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see, how they get on in this game. But I do believe that Tip will win it. Don't think, lads, Aaron, Matthew, don't think you have any disagreements. If you don't, we'll move on to the next game, which is Waterford against Limerick. Sunday at 2 p.m. in Walsh Park. It doesn't get any easier for Waterford. Surely it has to be better, though, than it was last week. They're like, you can't... I know the players are missing, and a lot of people were saying it when we put out the clip from the game. A lot of people were coming in saying it was Waterford's B team and everything like that. But Matthew, as you said, 7 points from play in a 70-minute game of hurling. Like, you can't have a second week in a row like that. There needs to be a bite back from the Daisha this week.
I was more probably upset with Waterford's performance, because I predicted them to do big things in this Division 1A campaign. I expected them to take the league a lot more seriously than they did last weekend. And it was just disappointment in many ways from that Waterford team, because they do have quality players across the county. I think if they play a decent enough and strong enough side this weekend, Limerick have performed well in pre-season and whatever, but I feel like Waterford could turn them over at home in Walsh Park. They could. I'm not saying they will. They could, if they bring their A players back into the team. Obviously, Sean Walsh is suspended now, so that's a big loss there. I don't know, will the Ballygunner lads be available? No, I don't think so. They were partying in Dingle last weekend, so why would they? Look, it's going to be difficult to see how Waterford win this game. Limerick, you talked about Cork taking the league seriously. I wasn't sure whether they'd take the league seriously, because they proved that they could win the league last year, and I don't think they necessarily need to take it seriously. One team that need to take it seriously and are at the higher ends of the hurling championship is Limerick. They're taking it seriously. They're taking pre-season seriously. There's a lot of players that have come in right from the off in pre-season. Caroline Curd's back at the backroom team, as well as the psychologist. Everything seems to be going pretty well for Limerick at this present moment in time. I do think they'll win this game, but I think Waterford will give it a lot to them if they get their main players, other than the Ballygunner lads, of course, back into the team. But I'm not counting on that to happen, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go for Limerick to win this by about... I don't think it'll be a hammering. I think it'll be about 7 or 8 points.
I agree. Any disagreements, Ed?
No, I think it'd be fairly comfortable enough for Limerick. I think Waterford, they were far too flat, I think, last week, and far too much of an over-reliance really on Ruben Halloran. And like, especially in those type of games, like you feel like you need to see something from a team. You need to see a bit of fight. You need to see something. And for Waterford, I just didn't see anything at all. And I think, especially given the fact it's Limerick's first game and how last year ended, they're going to start like an absolute steam train. So yeah, I think it could be 7 or 8, but honestly, when you're looking at the full-time score, if this was 13, 14, 15 points, I wouldn't be that surprised either.
15 points though, like Jesus, like
Yeah.
that's an absolute beatdown. I don't think it will be that bad, but I do think Limerick will win. And so that's Division 1A previewed and predicted. So I think we've gone nearly unanimous in that we think Tip are going to beat Offaly, that we think Limerick are going to beat Waterford, and that we think Cork are going to beat Galway, except the Cork man. But anyway, move on to Division 1B. I'll put my neck on the line for these predictions then. So Dublin against Kildare, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at Parnell Park. I do think that the Dubs will win that game. Home advantage and home advantage will be important in this game because Kildare are really up and coming. But you look at last year, I don't think we can take last year's game too much into account because Kildare were fresh off the back of that, like fresh off the back of winning the John McDonagh Cup. Like it was this 6 days, they were on the beer, and then they literally, while they were recovering from a hangover, they have to get back training for the Dublin game. So they were nowhere near full strength. They will be fired up for this game without question. It's going to be a difficult game for Dublin, but I think home advantage, Parnell Park, I do think will shade it. Antrim against Clare is flying under the radar as one of the most spicy encounters that will take place this weekend. Like, up in Cushendall, Davy Fitz against Brian Lohan, the rivalry that brings with it. Antrim are going to be gunning for this. Like, do you remember a few years ago with 2021 when Antrim got to Division 1 and they beat Clare in round 1? Like, they really targeted that game. So I wonder if Davy Fitz has them targeted in this game because he wants to bloody up Brian Lohan's nose just with the rivalry between the two of them. But I can't see it happening. I think Clare will get out of here fairly unscathed, and I think Clare will win the game. And then we have Down against Wexford on Sunday at 2 p.m. in McKenna Park. Now, at the beginning of the league campaign, if you'd shown me this game and said, like, Down hosting Wexford, I would have been fairly confident that Wexford would have got the win. But just having seen how shaky Wexford looked at home last week and the amount of players that they're missing, that trip away to McKenna Park could be very, very dangerous for them. I do think they will win, but I'm nowhere near as confident in that prediction as I was at the beginning of the league campaign. So I'm going Dublin, Clare, and Wexford. I am going with the favourites, but especially for the Down Wexford game, I'm not that confident. Any objections with my predictions, or anyone want to call out anything or agree with anything in particular?
No, I don't. I think we'll all agree on the 3 predictions, but one thing is Davy and Brian Lohan will clash in the sidelines. That'll be the prediction of the week.
What is it about the two of them? Like, they absolutely can't stand each other.
Séamus, you're a UFC fan. I think you should go up and referee it.
Oh, yes. Nah, let's be honest, lads. Lohan would bury him. Like, Lohan would absolutely maul him. Like, he stood beside the two of them. Matthew, we were sitting right behind Brian Lohan in the All-Ireland final. He's a much bigger dude than you think he is. And
he's big,
just, he has that, like Davy has a lot more, Davy would, I feel like Davy would shout a lot at Brian Lohan. I feel like Brian Lohan would go real quiet and just be like, just ice cold stare, like, and then he just
be like a lion in the water.
Like a lion,
just there watching him, and Davy's like like trying to get in his face and everything.
I would have loved to have seen Brian Lohan and Brian Cody go at it. Actually,
Brian Lohan, Brian Cody, that would have been something else.
Yeah. Cody's
again, Cody's underrated. How tall he is. Cody's a big man, like without question. Aaron had a good question, actually, I think earlier on. I can't find it exactly. It was something about, here it is. For Dubs men, Séamus and Aaron, how far can you see the Dublin hurlers go in the next few years? Limerick's Pat Ryan believes there is an All-Ireland final in 1 to 3 years. I think we're definitely heading in the right direction, but the only thing I will say is like, we have seen it before. So I'm not going to get carried away. 2013, I did get carried away. 2013, I was like, yeah, we're hurling county now. We're going to be there every year. And just never really got back there for a long time. we're definitely heading in the right direction. Owen O'Donnell joining the hurlers back is a good move. I think for both parties, to be honest. And I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. The win over Limerick last year, you would be naive to say that there wasn't an element of Limerick completely underestimating us. And what happened in the Cork game, and I said this at the time, I definitely said it to you, Matthew, it was clear that Pat Ryan had told Cork, Limerick let them get their hopes up. Limerick let them stay in the game. It was clear that Cork in the first 20 minutes were told, if you even get a sniff of goal, go for it. Like absolutely hammer home the initiative here in the first 20 minutes. And it was clear in that game anyway against Cork that yes, we can compete, but we got a long way to go before we can get over the line to get to an All-Ireland final. Aaron, what's your take? We are moving in the right direction, but we still have a long way to go, I think, before we can talk about winning All-Irelands.
Yeah. I think Pat Ryan, like, he makes a lot of good points in that podcast. I listened to it already, like, and but I do think at the same time it is baby steps. You know what I mean? Like, don't run before you can walk. A little bit with Dublin. I think the target first of all has to be winning Leinster. You know, like Kilkenny have been winning Leinsters for years, and over the last 3-4 years, I know they got to, you know, a couple of All-Ireland finals against Limerick, but realistically, they haven't really been that close in terms of winning All-Irelands. Like, they haven't. You wouldn't look at them as one of the top contenders. So I think that has to be the first thing for Dublin is to win Leinster, to regularly get to All-Ireland semi-finals as well. You saw even with Clare, took them a couple of semi-finals and everything else before they could kind of get over the line. So I think we need to focus probably more so on winning Leinster first of all. But I think I'd probably expand the time frame a little bit. I think 1 to 3 years is probably a little bit too soon, but I think, you know, if you're looking at 5, 6, 7 years, especially with the the investment that is in hurling and how big the county is, like, I think there's a lot more emphasis on underage in hurling now than there is in football, and I think we've even been seeing that in recent years.
Yeah, I think what will be interesting is will it switch back? Will people start to choose hurling over football over the next years, if the hurlers do turn out to be more successful? I'll put my neck on the line then for divisions 2, 3 and 4, and then you can pick away at any predictions. So starting off with Division 2's round 2, Laois against Derry in O'Moore Park. I'm going with Laois to win that the way that they absolutely hammered their opponents in round 1. I think they're not going to be stopped in round 2. London against Mayo in McGovern Park and Royslip. I'm going to go with London to shade that home advantage. I'm going to go with them to win that one. Kerry against Westmeath, then I'm going to go with Kerry. Kerry really looked impressive in round 1, and I'm going to go with them to get the win in Division 2's round 2. Then in Division 3's round 2, Donegal against Fermanagh. I'm going to go with Donegal to shade that. They have home advantage. It's in O'Donnell Park. They won in round 1. I'm going to go with them to do the same in round 2. Louth against Tyrone in Prosperity. Protection and Prosperity Louth is the name of the venue. Unbelievable. 2 p.m. Literally, I swear to God, on the Hogan stand, it says Louth v Tyrone. Protection and Prosperity Louth, 2 p.m.
Yeah,
that's Zimmer Boyman.
Zimmer Boyman. That puts that to shame. That puts that to shame.
What's going on there? Okay.
Viva says Laois will win by 3. Ryan Gallagher says Laois, London, and Kerry for Division 2. So my predictions for Division 3, and then I'm going Donegal to beat Fermanagh, Louth to beat Tyrone, and I'm going to go for Wicklow to beat Armagh in Auckram. And Division 4's round 2 then. I'm going to go with Leitrim to beat Sligo, home advantage. Brave call that. Brave call.
I'll shed that to Sligo.
No, I'm going with Sligo. Yeah. I just remembered that they have I just remembered they have Kilcullen. Yeah. Mr. 15 goals. So yeah, and all the Easky boys are back. So I'll go with them to win that, even though it is in Park Sean McDermott. I'm going to go with Cavan to beat Longford, even though that's in Pearse Park. I'm going to go with Monaghan to beat Lancashire, even though it is in Lancashire's home patch. So 3 away wins there in Division 4. Anything that I've said there that you grotesquely disagree with?
No.
What did you say for Kerry Westmeath?
Kerry.
I'll go with Westmeath. I know Kerry did very well last weekend.
You were picking Westmeath to win again. What is this?
I just think, I know Kerry looked good against Derry last weekend, and they did well against Tipperary in the Munster, wasn't it? The Munster League that they played in a couple of weeks ago. But at the same time, Westmeath also haven't had a game in recent weeks. They've had a lot of time to get ready for this game as well. And speaking to Kev O'Brien earlier today, or was it yesterday? When was I speaking to him? Was it yesterday? I can't even remember. I think it was yesterday. But yeah, he seems happy enough with his panel at the moment. There was a lot of retirements off the squad, but that's an opportunity for other lads to come in and start making their mark. So yeah, I'm going to go for Westmeath in that game. After that, I mean, other than Sligo beating Leitrim, but I think you said you'd change your mind on that. So
yeah. Aaron Goodman's here saying, would you do a video on your favorite GA jersey this year, rank them, something like that? I think that's a very good idea for like one of those quiz shows or stuff like that. I think that's a very, very good idea for like the tier list videos. So plenty of good ideas there, and we really appreciate it. So that's the hurling previewed and predicted. The final code then is the LGFA. We have round 2 for Division 1, 2 and 3, and then we have round 3 for Division 4, which of course started a week early. The biggest game, I think, personally, taking place in round 2 of Division 1 is the repeat of the All-Ireland final. It would be unfair to call it anything other than that. But Dublin go away to Meath. This one, interestingly, takes place on the bank holiday Monday, and it's in Stamullen, and it takes place at 2 p.m. So Meath looking for revenge after last year's All-Ireland final defeat. Both teams began their league campaign with defeat. So victory for both of these sides is crucial. Aaron, question is, can we do it against the big rivals? Can we go away and beat them?
I think it'll be tough, but I think we have been better than them in recent seasons. I think in all fairness. So like with me, like it was interesting. I think both teams looked a little bit flat on the opening day. Dublin really never really got going versus Kerry. Meath struggled, I thought, at times as well versus Galway. Both are missing big players as well. But I think Dublin should still have enough, in my opinion. Obviously, going away from home, it will be difficult and everything else that goes with it. But like you're looking at it from a Meath perspective, Emma Duggan was very impressive versus Galway, scoring the 3 points. But yeah, no, I think we will be too strong.
Yeah, I do think we'll be too strong in this one. Look, the reality is we were missing a lot of players in that game against Kerry, particularly in the forward line. No Carla Rowe, no Kate Sullivan. Hannah Tyrrell obviously is retired. She's not coming back. But like, there's noticeable absentees up front for Dublin, basically, is the point. And that game as well, like, it was absolutely appalling conditions for a game of Gaelic football. So I do think in slightly better conditions, hopefully the banker is slightly better conditions. I'm going to go with Dublin to win this one. Matthew, I'm going to throw this one to you because it directly concerns you. Cork hosting Galway Sunday at 2 p.m. in Porky Rin. Galway, of course, are on a fantastic run. They begin their league campaign with a win last week. Double scores. They beat Meath away from home. What are you thinking for this one?
Again, I'm going to back the Tribes County in this one. I'm going to go for Galway to beat Cork and Porky Rin. Look, I think both these counties are on different stratospheres. I think Galway are edging for an All-Ireland title, and they have the players to do so, especially if the Kilkerran Clonburn girls come back into it. They've been absolutely outstanding in so many ways. With Cork, look, it's a developmental phase. Like, look, there are young players there in that Cork team. There's a lot of players that have left the panel. Libby Coppinger's focusing on Camogie. Hannah Looney's not playing LGFA this year. She's focusing on AFLW. Sarah Lee's left the panel. Like, there's a lot of players that are not there. Like, for example, there's only one more Nappy player. That's Maura O'Callaghan. Excellent player, but you wouldn't have seen that over the last few years with this Cork team. Abigail Reen played very well the last day. Emma Cleary's leading the team as captain. But I think Cork are on a different kind of level to where Galway are. Galway are looking for All-Irelands. Cork are just looking to stay up at Division 1, and that's all there is to it. Look, Cork will benefit from this game. It's better opposition. You looked at Division 2 last year. Other than Galway, coincidentally, last year, Cork didn't get much of a test in any game, and that wasn't helping the team. It didn't help the team in the championship whatsoever. But these sorts of games, I think, might help Joe Carroll's team this year, but I do think Galway will be far too strong here.
Yeah, I'm going with Galway to win it as well. Any disagreements, lads? Okay, we'll move on to the next game, which of course is Kildare against Armagh. I'm going to run with this one. I think Kildare are going to win this. I really believe. Like, I think last week was like a sign that I feel like the wheels are kind of coming off the Armagh truck here. Like the way that they lost that game to Kildare last year in the championship, and it was in the athletic grounds, and Kildare went into their own backyard with all of that pressure on the line, and they beat them. And then to lose round one the way that they did to Waterford, I just think Armagh aren't at the races yet. I don't think they're with it. I think Kildare will realise that they are one of the teams that are looking over their shoulder at relegation. They got a good draw in the opening day against Cork, and now they have a team that they beat in last year's championship. They have them at home. I think they're going to put all their poker chips on winning this game. I think they're going to leave nothing unturned to try and win this, and I could see them catching Armagh here. Any disagreements? Anyone backing Armagh? Oh, your speaker isn't letting you back Armagh.
I don't know why I'm but yeah, I think I was actually swinging towards Armagh, but now when you kind of put it that way, and it has kind of just occurred to me as well that Kildare did beat Armagh last year in the championship as well, so they've had that edge on them. I suppose my only reason for thinking Armagh would win was last weekend it felt like it was a big opportunity for both Cork and Kildare, and they both ended up drawing that game, but at the same time Armagh were extremely poor. They did the opposite to the men. the men and women just did the complete opposite of each other in the both respective games. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I'll actually shade it to Kildare this weekend.
Any disagreements at all? Okay.
No,
so
yeah,
I'm going for Aaron?
No, yeah, no, I was just saying I completely agree. They're just are going to be far too strong, yeah.
Okay, well, I will throw this one to you then, Aaron, because it's the final game. And to be fair, I think this one is actually the most difficult one to call. I actually do think this. Kerry against Waterford, Monday at 3:45. Again, another game on the bank holiday. Interesting. No going out on the beer for the girls on Sunday to enjoy the bank. But what do you make of this one, Aaron? Obviously, two sides that started off their league campaign with very impressive away wins. And when you look at how close Waterford have been to Kerry over the last 2 years, if they want to start beating in the championship, if they want to start beating them in the championship, then beating them in the league does no harm at all. What do you think would happen here?
Well, absolutely. Like, they're probably never going to get a better chance, realistically, like, especially after beating Armagh by 12 points. And we've kind of said it in previous seasons, like Waterford they've been building really towards this in the last couple of years, and it's just been about taking that next step. Like, it was interesting with Kerry against Dublin. Like, I thought Kerry took their chances really well, but I still think Dublin had the chances as well to win that game, to be honest. So yeah, do you know what? I think I'll back Waterford to do it. I think they've been motoring well, and they've been knocking on the door, as you said, and when they've played Kerry in previous seasons. So yeah, now we'll go with Waterford to do it by 2.
I'll be boring and go with Kerry. Liam, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I predicted Waterford to get second place this year, so I actually have a weird feeling they could win this weekend as well. They were very impressive against Armagh in the opening weekend, and I think this is a team that really wants to make big strides last year, and they're one of the teams across the country that will be targeting Kerry this year to win an All-Ireland title. And look, going down to Kerry, not easy in the slightest, but yeah, I have a good feeling about. I don't know why I have such a good feeling about Monaghan in both codes, but I do like this Monaghan team, or what Monaghan, Jesus, Waterford team, Jesus. Delusion.
That's time again.
Yeah, lads, we're an hour and 37 minutes. We get delusional at an hour and 15. We're in dangerous territory here. Like,
Don McGregor is a great footballer for Monaghan, I heard. Yeah. No,
we're far, like the boys are like, the don't swim past this area. We can't even see that sign anymore. We're gone.
Off the map.
Waterford to win. Yeah.
Matthew, Liam and Aaron have gone with Waterford. I've gone with Kerry. What are you thinking?
I'm leveling it up. I think Kerry. Look, it's a boring prediction, but I just feel like Waterford, I do agree with Liam. They will be in the finals conversation in many ways, but at the same time, they haven't beaten Kerry in a big game in I don't know how long. Like they had, I think, 3 attempts last year and they didn't do it. That's a big hoodoo to get over, and it will be massive to get over this weekend. I don't think they will, though. I think Kerry are far too strong. And when you look at the way they started against Dublin, I think they're looking towards an All-Ireland, that they want to build up as much momentum as possible. So I'm going to go for Kerry.
Absolutely. Well, now it's time to jump into the hot seat. Aaron, I'm going to start off with you for Division 2. And I just want you to call these and we'll disagree if we do disagree with you. So starting off, Mayo against Wexford in Amenity Park, Sunday at 2 p.m.
Mayo.
Monaghan against Donegal, Sunday at 2 p.m. in Smithborough.
Donegal.
Tipperary against Cavan, Sunday at 2 p.m. in Clonmel.
Tipperary.
And Westmeath against Tyrone, Sunday at 2 p.m. in Cusack Park.
I think Tyrone will be too strong there now.
I disagree on one. I going with Mayo to beat Wexford, Donegal to beat Monaghan, Tyrone to beat Westmeath. I actually think Cavan will beat Tip. I'm predicting Cavan to have a very, very strong year. I think they have all their strongest players available to them. I'll shade it to Cavan. Anyone want to comment on those predictions before we move to Division 3?
I think Tip would beat Cavan. I agree with Aaron there, but I disagree with Aaron on Monaghan Donegal. I think Monaghan will beat them. I know Monaghan
Really?
7 goals last year.
Absolutely.
I know, but Monaghan do have good players like Ava Sherry and some good players around the middle as well. I think Casey Trainer's still involved as well. I think Monaghan are a bit of an underrated team, and Donegal are going downhill. Obviously, I see the results against Leitrim last year, and Leitrim, let's be honest, Leitrim are a Division 4 team, and Donegal struggled to beat them in the relegation playoff last year. I think this Donegal team is on the way down. Monaghan are paddling around the middle, but I think Monaghan might sneak a win this weekend. I think it'll be a point or two.
Okay. Well, Liam, I'll throw you into the hot seat next. So starting off, we have Clare against Louth at 2 p.m.
I'll go with Louth.
Fermanagh against Roscommon in Temple Maguires at 2 p.m.
I'll go for Fermanagh.
Laois against Down in Emo at 2 p.m.
I'm kind of tempted to say draw, but I also interviewed the Laois manager today, so I'm going to say Laois win.
Limerick against Antrim at 2 p.m.
Antrim.
I agree with all of your picks. I agree with all the picks. Genuinely, I think there's good reason. Fermanagh started the league very well as well. They had a mental draw against, was it Laois?
Yeah, it was 3-13 each.
Yeah. So I think they're showing that their inconsistencies that they may have had in previous seasons aren't really bothering them too much. I think Antrim had the slowest start out of the teams I was expecting to start strongly. And Matthew, then for you, I'm going to go Division 4 as round 3. You're in the hot seat for this one. So starting off, once again, interestingly, Carlow against Wicklow.
Carlow.
Derry against Longford.
Longford.
Leitrim against Sligo.
Leitrim.
And Offaly against Kilkenny.
Offaly.
I agree with all of your picks. Did you say Carlow to beat Wicklow?
Oh, I did, yes.
Okay, then I agree with all your picks. I don't think I have a particular issue. Leitrim and Sligo as well, of course, a spicy Connacht derby and everything that goes with it. But anyway, unless lads you have any disagreements with Matthew's predictions, I'll wrap up right now because we are, as I said, we're in dangerous delusion time here. 1 hour and 43 minutes on the clock. It's been another mammoth show here on Cúilín Media. So do like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. It really, really helps us out here on the channel. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, Peter, here saying great preview, lads. Don't forget Cyril Farrell's Laker Gale is on this evening. Can catch it on the +1. Enjoy the games and see you Sunday at 8 p.m. Well said, Peter. We will see you on Sunday at 8 p.m. for the weekend review show where we look back at all of the games that took place from across the weekend. Be there with us and get involved in the live chat. But until then, enjoy the Laker Gale tonight on TG Car. Enjoy the games this weekend. Agus Toar.
Instinct, baby.